answer in writing, if you would, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, if you would, for the record. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to recognize Mr. Arrington for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and panelists. An important discussion. Nothing more important right now than getting our country back, getting our children to school, getting our families, up back on their feet and into the marketplace, lights on for our employers. And, I agree with so much of what's been said, Mr. Chairman, already. I think the Senate has acted in a protracted way and not in a timely way. So I'll agree with Ms. Sanchez. But I will also say that my colleagues on the Democrat side have put a completely partisan bill, the HEROES Act, which was going nowhere. I mean, here we are in a major, unprecedented national emergency, and we're not sitting down to have the conversations. And I'm willing to consider everything that has been put on the table. I mean, I think we all understand that right now we've got to get assistance to where the needs are, and we need to start with the people who have been hit the hardest. But we also need to provide liquidity, whether it's PPP or those businesses that have been hit so hard that they operate at a loss, they're not making a profit. What does that mean? That means they can't meet payroll. It means that more working families associated with those businesses aren't evil. They are creating value, and they also create jobs and livelihoods for people. And so I just believe we should just assume, at least at this subcommittee, that we're all trying to find a good path forward. But the HEROES Act was talking about financing cannabis. It was talking about the humanities and arts and election policies and bailouts for pension, union multi-employer pensions, all of which may need to be addressed in the right context and at the right time. But my goodness, I'm disappointed on all ends of this, and so I'll let that be my comment about the process and how pathetic it is that we would go home and on recess without having met the needs of our fellow Americans who are hurting, many of them. Now, we do have hundreds of billions of dollars in play that hasn't been spent. It's been distributed. It's been appropriated. 75% of that city and state money has been hoarded by states and not distributed. 99% of the monies for schools have not been spent. So, I mean, I'm not ready to just throw more money at this without knowing where the gaps are after the money meets the people who have the needs and where we intended it to go. And I'm sure most people agree with that. Mr. Brill, when I think about the moral hazard of putting more money out there in it to bail out cities or states that have a history of mismanaging their fiscal affairs, or multi-employer pensions, which are upside down and need to be addressed, but without fixing the underlying problem and giving them a way to just keep things locked down, seems like it's a really big national moral hazard issue that we ought to just, at a minimum, consider in our discussions about what the next COVID legislation is. Mr. Brill, can you just speak to that concern, please?
Sure. Thank you, Congressman. As you described, there are a number of existing challenges, fiscal policy and economic policy that predated the coronavirus. The funding issues related to multi-employer plans is one of those challenges that Congress has struggled with finding solutions to in the past and continues to be a concerning issue for those plans that are underfunded and in some cases severely so. But as you're suggesting, I am in full agreement. that is not the immediate challenge related to the pandemic and the associated economic recession. And so those issues are important and are worthy of consideration and evaluation as they have been in the past. Most appropriate right now would be to take timely actions that are targeted and well designed, as I've described, as Professor Stevenson has described, and other provisions that may exist as well.
Mr. Chairman, how much time do I have remaining, sir?
Your time has expired,
Okay.
Mr. Arrington.
Thank you for the hearing. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to go to a 2-to-1 ratio on our witnesses. We'll